Holidays are just around the corner, which means we will be getting together for Thanksgiving, Christmas, Hanukkah, whatever your family celebrates. Now, this month is November, which means Thanksgiving is literally right around the corner. And it means that people get together and they eat food. And they're thankful for what they're eating and for the people that they're spending it with. Now, at least for my family, it's always been that somebody brings something to the table. I always bring my famous pumpkin pie cinnamon rolls, but I've gotten tips and tricks throughout the years from different sources to be able to get me to the place where I am that everybody loves them. I will be showing you guys how to make these pumpkin pie cinnamon rolls, which makes your efforts look a lot better than just buying a pumpkin pie from the store. I will be taking you from the ingredients and the measurements of the pumpkin pie cinnamon rolls to the process and step by step with me of how to make them. And more specifically, I will show you my little tips and tricks that I've learned throughout the years of making them, from the ingredients to making the actual dough. As you guys could tell, we have changed into the kitchen. So now we're going to start with the cinnamon rolls. And let me show you guys the ingredients. These are the ingredients. You'll need 4 cups of flour, half a cup of sugar, a 1/4 cup of melted butter, 7 grams to a packet of active dry yeast. Make sure it's active. 1 teaspoon of vanilla, half a cup of pumpkin puree, an egg, 1 teaspoon of sugar, and this is additional, 1 cup of warm milk to about 115 degrees, or when it's sizzling on the side. So not boiling where there's bubbles coming out, but just little tiny little bubbles. The preceding step would be to mix your teaspoon of sugar that you had separated from the 4th cup, add it to your 1 cup of milk, and you kind of want to do this rather quickly just so the warm milk won't be set to room temp. Mix it in and then lay right on top the dry yeast, and then just kind of mix it. And according to Demond from All Recipes, you should leave the yeast aside for about 5 minutes. Here you have all your wet ingredients plus the sugar. Now you will be going to add the dry yeast to your wet ingredients. You're going to add all your flour into the wet ingredients and mix very well. So my dough now is really well mixed, and now I'm going to take, because the dough has to rise, so now I'm going to take this big bowl and just get some vegetable oil, canola oil, olive oil, whichever oil you have, except for coconut. Don't do coconut. I'm gonna get a brush and just mix it all. Okay, and now I have gotten my ball of dough, and I'm gonna put it into the oiled bowl and just put it here, and then I'm gonna saran wrap it and then put it above my microwave. You want to put it in somewhere in the most warm place as possible. Don't put it in, like, don't turn on the microwave, but I'm gonna put it on top of my microwave because it's on top of my stove, and it tends to be a little bit more warmer on top of there. So just put saran wrap and just put it in the warmest place that you could find. This is how much it should have risen. So as you could recall, the last time we put the dough in, it was about half its size of what it is now. So it should be about this much, and this took me about 20 minutes, 2 hours. Right now I have my dough rolled out. 15 by 9 is where you want to be at. Then I'm going to rub butter all over it. And just a tip, according to Laura Vitale's recipe, you want to make sure that you don't put too much flour into your dough, because your flour can make the dough very much more dense. Next, you want to add the filling, which is just 3/4 cups of brown sugar, 1/4 cup of sugar, and 1 tablespoon of pumpkin pie spice, all mixed together. After putting the filling all over the butter and dough, you want to make sure that you start tucking and rolling. So you're going to start tuck and roll, and just keep doing it like so. Also, make sure when you're tucking and rolling to make sure it's tight, and if sugar does come out, do not worry, because that means it's just excess that doesn't need to be there. After you've tightly tucked and rolled the whole dough, you want to cut halves by halves by halves until you make about 18 rolls. And if they come apart, don't worry, you could just roll them back up and pinch them and it'll be fine. Just make sure when you did have the tuck roll, you pinched at the end. After you place them in your pan, you want to cover them up with saran wrap and place them in a warm spot again, let them rise for an hour, and then afterwards you want to put them in the oven for 25 minutes at 350 degrees. This is how they should look once they're risen. This is how they look like straight outside of the oven. And yeah, so this is the recipe for pumpkin pie cinnamon rolls. Now, if you would like to add a glaze, you most certainly can. Personally, I just don't because, like my family says, we're panaderos. And it's really sweet for us. But if you would like to, it's really easy to make a glaze. Maybe next time I could show you guys that. But yeah, this makes the best dessert for Thanksgiving. It lets people know that you cared enough to make an effort for it, and it's not just store bought, so it's amazing.